are making headlines, not only headlines on our paper, but they are stories that are also of economic impact. So, and we just analyze, just try to make meaning of, these stories. This may not be ultimate meaning, but at least it gives you, it sheds some light when you are going to read and you make your own meaning. Because at the end of the day, it also comes to how you understand the story yourself. So what we try to do is just to help you, just to cut some flesh for you, so that you understand what is being said. Let me put my house in order, and then we can come back to continue. Since today is a Friday, I would also be allowed to make a recap of some of the important stories that we had during the week.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I'm planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Sizuma, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional and church events, and basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye.
All right. The house is now in order. So today is a Friday edition. Please pardon me for my voice. Things are not in order. We are talking about weather change, and we are talking about the headaches here and there. So please pardon the impact of my voice that's not really coming as it should be. It's weather change. When it becomes hot, when the weather changes and it is hot, like for myself, I really suffer during this time. This is the time where I suffer. And there seems to be a bug in the air. And that's a bug of, I think it's a weather change. It is now becoming hot and the body is trying to adjust. Therefore, please, you may pardon my voice. Now, one of the stories that we had from Tuesday, because on Monday we were talking about the Katima Mlilo Abattoir that seems to have closed because ZAMCO, that is the Zambezi Meat Corporation, is not meeting the standards required by the Ministry of Agriculture for them to run the abattoir. Therefore, now farmers are stranded. They don't have a market for their animals. Now some farmers are asking for, Mitco to take over, to take the abattoir back, or the Ministry of Agriculture, like the way the abattoir was. So that was the story, and I think you got to understand, or to listen and understand very well. My colleague Dwight was in here, and on Tuesday we spoke about on Tuesday we dealt with the issue of Bank of Namibia, whether or not we are able to peg the Namibian dollar, or to unpeg it, whether we are able to, have a Namibian dollar on its own. And the story here says that the Bank of Namibia was questioned on the cost of pegging the Namibian dollar to the rand. So, and we said that the Namibian economy struggles to deliver growth, and business remains low. And then the business community engaged the central bank and the monitoring, the monitoring committee, or the monetary committee, on the cost of Namibia's currency being pegged to South Africa. The question on the cost of the peg to the Namibian economy is the question that keeps coming under scrutiny from the business community, and of course in the households, as borrowing monetary policy as a tool are not felt by many beyond monthly installments increases. This is now due to the fact that the central bank keeps prioritizing, along with price stability, maintaining the peg as one of its main primary objectives. Now, it's one of the primary, objective in its monetary decisions is to continue paying for the peg of the Namibian dollar to the South African. Supporting the economic growth is the secondary objective. This is according to that. So last week, the veteran business leader and the president, or Namibia Chambers of Commerce president, that is Vetumbavi Mungunda, is the one that asked the Bank of Namibia or asked the central bank president and the monetary policy committee about the cost of the currency pegged, during the monetary policy dialogue of last week. Now, Mungunda also asked if the peg arrangement is the only option available, ensuring price stability. And he said that the country needs to understand the cost of the peg in the long run. The central bank or the central bank governor, Epson Wanguta, in his response explained that they are not fixated with the peg as the public thinks. However, being pegged to the rand is the arrangement that the country has chosen to stabilize the price. And now they say it's control inflation at this point in time. He added that inflation is one of the greatest evils or evil that needs to be fought at all times. And then he said, quote, prices rise, they do not want, when prices rise, they do not want to revert. That is why we say prices are sticky. Now, you also know that when fuel prices go up, or maybe fuel prices come down, but when taxi fare goes up or increases, it does not come down. When bread increases, it does not come down. So Anguta stated that it will be difficult to assess the cost having alternatives arrangement. However, he used an exchange rate under different regimes to answer the cost of the peg. He highlighted the alternative, leaving the peg to float the Namibian dollar, making the exchange rate flexible. And then he said, if the float of the currency, its exchange rate will be changing every day in line with the demand and making economic predictions difficult. The exchange rate becomes too volatile. And when the exchange rate becomes too volatile, planning becomes very difficult for businesses. This is what he's explaining. And then he added that volatile exchange rates can differ between when business order their goods and at delivery, which makes business operations difficult. It becomes an unhealthy environment to do business. That's what he's saying. He also saying, he also noted that to stabilize the exchange rate or to make it more predictable is only possible when the currency has foreign reserves muscles. And he said, when you pretend that you have muscles, when your reserves are only able to cover for 3 months, the business, it becomes difficult. So, when you have no reserves. It becomes very difficult. So he's saying for Namibia to be safe, is that it's only when you have reserves enough to cover at least 6 months. So the country trade is also not showing any sign for any alternative. The economy right now does not suggest that you are able to unpeg the Namibian dollar. So there is nothing optional to be explored by the central bank. Now, when you look at the trade traction, we still feel that the current peg arrangement is still the most appropriate exchange arrangement. That's what the bank governor says. He then also noted that if the current builds its reserves to cover at least 20 months, yes, not 6 months, but 20 months of imports, particularly with the prospect of oil production and other activities, then the discussion will be different. Monitoring committee who also met on the 10th to the 11th of August to decide on the appropriate monetary policy stance for the next 2 months. Okay, that was just in short one of the stories that we covered, and we went deeper by explaining that we were just looking at, is it possible for Namibia to stand on its own, the currency, and we determined that nope, it is not, because Namibian economy is very small and it is not advanced. But how did other currencies, manage? It's because those currencies were left to fend for themselves, and they found a way. And it took Zambia years for the Zambian kwacha to be where it is now. So there is no guarantee that the Namibian dollar will do the same. So that's why the Bank of Namibia is concerned about Bank of Namibia is concerned about having to worry about inflations, unpredictable inflation. If you look at the shilling, the Ugandan shilling, the Ugandan shilling is an example. And there was a peso, was it a Mexican peso or the Argentinian one, that went up to 2,000 percent. That is inflation. So if you have a country which has a strong currency, and it is cheaper to peg your currency to it, then you can always do that to avoid, the slopes, the economic slopes. Okay, we are not dwelling much time on this story because we have already done it. I just want to wanted to do a recap of what we have covered during the week, because today is Friday, and then we got to the most dramatic, we got to the most dramatic story of Rundu spending $100,000 for a smart city trip to Spain. And the mayor of Rundu is nominated to go and attend that, and the residents are coming out with criticism. For criticizing the proposed $100,000 spent for the mayor's trip. The mayor, Andreas Giquera, is saying that money should be instead used to address the town's challenges. Giquera has been nominated to attend the 15th Smart City Expo World Congress in Spain from the 3rd to the 5th November this year. The proposal, seen by the media, says Congress is intended to expose Giquera to apparently international best practices and innovative solutions and collaborations essential to building future-ready territories. However, Parliamentary Standing Committee on Public Accounts member, that is of course John Lau Mudon, has said that smart city is not a priority for Rundu. Smart city project is not a priority for Rundu. He describes that as a waste of resources. And residents and activists say the mayor should rather learn from towns like Oshakati instead of going to to Barcelona. And then he said the mayor cannot even design his own house. And then he's talking about, going to attend a smart city for what? That's just a waste of money. And we went deeper on this story by looking at what Rundu has gone through during these past weeks, because as far as the report of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Public Accounts is concerned, that they found that Rundu failed to submit, financial audit reports. So, and the report from the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Public Account was not a happy report for Rundu. So it was an embarrassment to Rundu for members of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Public Account to even say that Rundu cannot be trusted. The public cannot trust Rundu Town Council because of its failure to submit financial report and to account for the money used or for the money spent for the period of 8 years between 2018 and 2026. Because the money, or 2026, 2028, 2018 and 2025, because the report, according to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Public Account, the report is supposed to be submitted. Every report is the annual report, annual financial report, are supposed to be reported in March the following year. So in March 2019, no report. March 2020, no report. March 2021, no report. March 2022, no report. 2023, 2024, the only report they gave was the 2019 report. That's the one that they gave in 2024. So can you imagine from 2019 to 2024, that is how many years? That's almost 5 years. That's what happened. It's in Rundu. Then we of course dropped the Rundu issue. And then we got to analyzing the summit, the 46th summit, SADC summit that took place in South Africa, where SADC was calling for industrialization. And we also determined that SADC has a potential to become an industrial hub of Africa. But before we continue to that, let's go for a short break, and we'll be right back.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I'm planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Sizuma, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional and church events, and basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye. My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I'm planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Sizuma, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional and church events, and basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye.
All right. It is 26 minutes to 7. That is the time. We still have ample time here with you. And we are going to talk about stories. Then we said that SADC can be very important, an economic hub because of its stability. SADC is very stable. You know that there was election in Zambia. There were elections in Zambia. Yes, there were some arrests here and there, but still the Zambian, Zambia still remains stable. There is no unrest. The elections have been announced. Hakainde Hichilema has secured his second term. So there is no unrest in Zambia so far. Because there were minimal cases of instability here and there, but they were handled, and then elections went ahead. Though the observer, missions raised some flags on this, the way the elections were handled here and there. So I will now talk about what I said yesterday, that the Botswana is saying, look, we shouldn't take Zimbabwe. Maybe let's learn from Namibia, because Namibia has a stable democratic process. Even their elections are done properly. Yeah. And then we also had, observers who come to Namibia to observe the elections. But we don't get negative reporting on the observers, from the observers. So that is also the sign that the Namibian democratic process is very stable. And this stability contributes to economic growth, because there is no country that is unstable that can grow its economy. Volatile countries, countries with political volatility, do not, in most cases, grow economically, because there is so much uncertainty that drives away investors. It prevents investors from coming in and investing or taking part into that economy, because every now and then you will hear bombs and katyushas exploding. So investors will be drawn further to other countries. They'll be looking for a stable, region to invest, because an investor wants to put his money in and see returns tomorrow. So once there is instability, then that becomes a problem. Once there is an instability, then that creates a problem in investments. Some investors will go. And when they go, it takes time for them to come back, and some will never even come back. So I remember what happened in Caprivi by that time in 1999. We hear that there were some investors that wanted to come and put up, a certain economic development, but they ran away, and maybe they never come back. They never came back. So even if you have that volatile region, and investors will be afraid to say, we are not going to build anything in Zambezi, because you still have, some secessionist mentalities there. Whether or not that secessionist mentality is really impactful, or is a handful of people that are just there, as long as that is still echoed, some investors can be scared, because you don't want to wake up tomorrow, Zambezi is a Caprivi Republic. When you have invested your money, you are going to be thrown into uncertainty as to whether you are going to make it, you are going to see returns or not. So you cannot risk your money. You better go to Ohangwena, which is stable. You better go to Ohangwena, which is stable. Of course, the Ohangwena during the early 90s, we also used to hear, some sentiments of people wanting to revive the Okwanyama kingdom. And it was a problem because the argument of the government was to say you cannot revitalize or revive the Okwanyama kingdom in a unitary state, because this is now a unitary democratic republic. The unitary state, you can never have a kingdom in a state. That is going to be two centers of power, and that is what brought a rift, of course, politically between the late founding father and other, members of, key figures in of course SWAPO, who were, of the idea of reviving the Okwanyama kingdom. And that cannot happen because the constitution declares Namibia as a unitary state. So there will be no standalone kingdom equally powerful to the state. So that is, so it ended, of course, it ended messy. For those who were following the history that time, you know how it ended. But those are the things we are talking about. And of course, at some point, the Rehoboth also wanted to be its own republic. So, and for Rehoboth is even very funny, because you have Rehoboth in the midst of, in the midst of towns and so forth. So for it becoming a republic, okay, it is very interesting because how do you demarcate borders? Because beyond Rehoboth is Namibia, and after Rehoboth again is Namibia. So it's going to be an island without ocean. That was going to be interesting. But those are things, those were the feelings of the people at that time. So the investors will look at that and they will choose, stable regions to say, no, let's go to Kunene. Because in Kunene you don't hear those things. Or let's go to Oshana. And then, other regions become developed more than your region, and then you start complaining that our region is being sidelined, people don't want to come, the government is just taking development to other regions, and we are not, because the region is volatile. It's not the government, it is investors. So investors are the ones that are afraid to come to your region because you are not stable. So those are some of the things that we need to look at when we are talking about economic growth. Economic growth has many factors. There are many factors as to why the economy is not growing, or why other people's economies are growing. Then we looked at the issue of borrowing. And in fact there is another twist, which we said yesterday, that the labor hire is also responsible for borrowing. Because if somebody has to pay 30% of their salary to an agent or an agency that looked for a job for them, then how much is 30% of 1,500? That is at least $370. So $3,370 is the 30%, or $375, in fact, is the 30% of 35%. Sorry, is a 35% of a 1,500. If you are getting 1,500. Now, somebody that is getting 3,000. Somebody that is getting 3,000. Your 30% will be over almost 1,000. The 35% of 3,000, because you're talking about 900. You know, you are talking about $1,050 that you are taking to an agent or an agency. So you remain with 2,000, or you remain with 1,950. And now you want, because your salary is a 3,000, so you want to make up that threshold. You will be forced to go and borrow money and then pay another 35%. So which means you are paying 70% of your salary to credit or to debt. And then you plunge into serious chaos. Now, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Poverty Eradication, Labor and Industrial Relations was conducting this public hearing in the South. And yesterday we said we shouldn't really look at the cause. We shouldn't look at the cost. We must look at the cause, because what is causing borrowing? That is what we are supposed to look at, not at the cause and not at the cost. And I said yesterday that politicians understand the cause very well, and they know that they are not able to tackle that, because that also cuts to the finger. Because that also will force you to bite the finger that feeds you, and that is detrimental. That will force you, to bite the finger that feeds you, which is detrimental. And we have done justice to that. But there is a twist. There is a twist to this story of borrowing. And we will talk about it after a short break.
No matter where you are, if you have a mobile device, you can tune into Namibia's #1 talk radio station by downloading the Eagle FM app on the Google Play Store or on the Apple App Store. Download the Eagle FM app to tune into live Eagle FM programming or to listen to podcasts of previous broadcasts. Eagle FM, Namibia's #1 talk radio station.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I'm planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Sizuma, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional and church events, and basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye.
Okay, So there is a twist, and the Prime Minister is saying that financial stress is what is leading many men to commit suicide. Because men are not given the opportunity to express themselves and to be heard, to be listened to. Nobody is listening to a man. A man is left to fend alone. And when I was talking about the children of the Angolan children begging in the street, there are also men from Angola that are also begging in the street, but they are not being looked at. People will only rush to women and to children because society has told itself that women and children are the most vulnerable. Which is very true in many aspects, but also too overemphasized and over-exaggerated to a certain extent. Because sometimes women and children are safe than the men. Now, a man, no one will listen to him. Even if I get into problem now and I say I want to open up and say my issue, people would rather judge me or laugh at me. So no one will even listen. That is not only on a government level, that is on family level. Because, you know, a woman, it doesn't matter how old she is, she can always go back to her mother's and parents' house, and she can be welcome to stay there. But a man will never be welcome back in his parents' house. So he can never be welcomed back. He will be forced to leave that house and go somewhere, because society expects a man to be better, to be perfect, to be self-sustained and self-dependent. And when that cannot be a case, a man will be judged. So this economic hardship, the Prime Minister is now saying that he also went through financial problems and he was having suicidal thoughts. Okay? He was having suicidal thoughts. I want you to also know that I'm a suicide survivor. I attempted to take my life 7 times and it all failed miserably and mysteriously. But one thing that I've discovered when it comes to suicide, okay, before we get there, borrowing is one of, borrowing can take, because you fail to pay, and every time, the landlord is there looking for rent money, cash loans are calling, the debt collectors are calling, and so on. Family is demanding. Sometimes your wife can even make statements that will demean and degrade you, and even children will start to make statements that will not demean, and you start looking back and you feel like all your effort has always been in vain. You feel like you are not appreciated. You feel like you are worthless beyond what you are able to bring on the table. Because a man without money is a useless man. That is what society, that's what society has. That is what society has created. That's a narrative the society has created, that a man without money is a useless man, is worthless man, so is disposable. Now, the government allow me to point a finger now to the government. The government, through the Ministry of Gender and Police and the judiciary system, and in fact, alongside feminism organizations and the so-called human rights activisms, they have created a scenario where it seems that men are now disposable products. So, and it is now louder than what I'm saying now. It is now very louder. And it's not just about feminism and about human rights activism. This started long ago in our family setup. We treat men as disposable materials. That you are only a man when you are able to bring something. As long as you have something, then you are a man. You are a good father because you can provide. But as soon as that fades, then you are worthless, you are useless, you are incompetent, you are unproductive, you are whatever. And that is what makes it easier for men to die earlier. So for men to die earlier, there are men that are working in offices, that are CEOs, even some ministers that are already dead. They are just walking dead. They died long time ago. Something dies in a man before they physically die. Now, I don't want to do some mental health lecture here, because this is unpacking the day. It's not a hospital seminar on mental health. But I want you to know that mental health is an economic enabler. You can never function, you can never be economically productive if you are not mentally stable. And we are talking about 11,000 people hospitalized or admitted in the hospital for mental health between 2024 and 2025. That's a report from the hospital or the Ministry of Health. So that's how serious it is. And then we are talking about the hubbly bubblies, these electronic cigarettes that are, we are talking about the high intake of nicotine in Namibia right now. When we are talking about only having 2 psychiatric centers in the whole country, we only have Oshakati Ward 16 and Windhoek Central Hospital. And we had a case in Rehoboth last year where there was massive drug intake. So adding all that together creates a problem and creates a stain on the Namibian economic ability, let alone the economic growth and stability. Because the more you have people that are not productive, that people that need rehabilitation, the more you have people that are not mentally capable, the lesser the chances for you to develop and let alone industrialize. Because you don't have the necessary human resource.
ShopRite's birthday is in the major league with major low prices. Get 750 mils Nola sunflower oil, only 29 Namibian dollars 99. 5 kg nice rice parboiled rice for 89 Namibian dollars 99. And 5 kg Pocomo fit cook wheat flour, just 72 Namibian dollars 99. Valid until 23 August 2026. Get major savings with ShopRite's major league birthday. Plus, pick a box for a chance to win your share of over $500,000 Namibian dollars and weekly gift cards with ShopRite. Buy any 3 participating products, WhatsApp the code on your till slip, and pick a box to see if you're a winner. Only at ShopRite.
So the more you have Malala pipe, a Malala pipe cannot improve the economy. A Malala pipe is a liability of the state, not an asset. Now, sorry for using that word, but I just want to stress a point so that you understand how important mental health is to the economy. A Malala pipe is a state liability. It's not a state asset. That's why it's a Malala pipe. And what leads to Malala pipeness is the intake of intoxicating substances like nicotine. But that is the cost, or that is a predicament. But what is the cause of all that? Why do we have a rising mental health issue or a rising mental health crisis? Why? That is what we need to answer. Some is by design, and I don't want to talk about what is on design. Do you remember the opium case in Britain that Britain, did imposed on China? The British wanted to achieve one thing from with the Chinese. They wanted as many Malala pipe as possible in China so that they take over China easily without a fight. That's why they introduced opium in China. So, because in the 18th century, the rise of white supremacism or white supremacy was on very high. It was very high. You see, and that's why, Charles Darwin, this thing that you call scientific finding, apparently on evolution, that people are coming from, apes, and they were first Homo habilis, then Homo erectus, and then Homo sapien. It's all nonsense. That's not true. The underlying reason behind those things were to prove to the world that there was only one race that was supreme over other races. And in fact, most of you that think you are decolonized, you have also bought into this, historical nonsense, where certain people came here to Africa and they dug our forefathers' graves. And they took our forefathers' remains. Apparently, they discovered humanoids in Kenya. That was nonsense. That was the history, or those were, literatures, scientific literatures that were meant to demean other races. And that was meant to exalt a white race to be supreme over other races. It is not true. You see, when you hear that, Africa, the mankind started in Africa, and we think we are being praised, it says that was an insult. Insult, under historical cover, under cover of so-called history. Because the world for thousands of years, before this modern scientific, discoveries even came, the world already existed. And there was knowledge that was passed from one generation to the other. People knew where mankind started. They knew. And it did not have to do with any religion. Even before all the religion that you call by name were created. The world has existed for thousands of years without any religion that you call by name today. So as the economies of the world has always been an economic global, global house. Trade has always been there. So that certain things are by design, but we are not going deeper. But what is causing people to be smoking or drinking heavily is because when they are sober, they will start thinking about their problems. And they think that when they drink, at least they can forget. But that's a trap. It is better I'm sober and I think about my problems and I find a way out. So the Prime Minister is saying that men must also be given an equal opportunity to be able to say, to be able to communicate and express what they feel without being judged. And that will never happen. Because men are judged by other men. You know, you go to the police as a man to report, and the police men will ask you nonsense questions as if he's not a man. And then tomorrow he's in a problem and he wants to run to the media. So it must be part of police education. If you want to change this, it must be part of police education to say that the police must be taken through some psychology to be able to deal with issues. Otherwise, we are having people that are in office. You are a dean of research, but you are dead. You are dead emotionally, dead psychologically, dead economically. But you are a dean of research in a university, but you are already walking dead. Now, the Prime Minister is saying he also came to the point of starting to have suicidal thoughts because he was going through some financial karatagoma. And it seems that the only way out was for him to delete himself. So, it sounds easy when you are not in that problem. It sounds very easy. How can the Prime Minister have thought to come to that level? It sounds very easy to you. But what I'm saying is, if we are not working, this country will be full of Malala pipe, which are going to be the state liability. I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm just trying to tell you how serious this issue is. We were talking about one person that took one person, I think it was Friday, when we said that it took him 17 years to overcome nicotine and tobacco. It took him 17 years to overcome nicotine and tobacco. I was addicted to Coca-Cola until I just reduced it. So in 2018, I stopped drinking cool drink. But in 2019, when I came to the office here at Eagle, I found my colleagues buying bottles of Coca-Cola. So there was a time when I just said, let me just take a bit of taste. Let me just taste a little bit. When I tasted that, I went to buy the full bottle. And it continued until I decided I'm going to quit cool drink itself completely. It's not an easy thing. Like with me, with Coca-Cola, it's not easy. Because I find myself drinking it still. But Coca-Cola, I was not stopped it by the hospital or anything. I just stopped it because it was becoming too much. Now, multiply that with tobacco and nicotine, and you get the problem. That your life becomes worthless. Because you graduate from nicotine into cocaine, into other things. And that's why, some people are saying, please, the ganja, whatever organization must just understand, Daha and marijuana must never be legalized. Never. Because we are going to die. We are going to die. If marijuana is legalized, look guys, we are already dead. But if marijuana is to be legalized, we are going to die. And only God knows in the Namibian 3 million population how many people are going to be malala pipes and unproductive. People that are civil engineers who miss the work for 3 to 4 days, you cannot find them where they are. Just to find the person is totally wasted. We have few rehabilitation centers where people can be admitted. So let's not play with fire to think that we are able to, maintain that. We are playing with fire, and our economy, we are going to set it on fire. And then, lucky enough, foreigners will take over. Foreigners will take over. They will become citizens of this country. We will become the Malala pipes, and we are going to be deployed to Malawi or Mozambique or whatever country that is going to accept us for some billions, for some few billions, and we are going to be there wasted. So Eswatini is now taking in, worthless people from America that cannot contribute to the American economy, that have become the liabilities. America is doing away with them to Eswatini. Now, what will Eswatini do with those people? So Eswatini is now receiving billions of dollars. Of course, it is going to pump the economy a bit, but after those billions, you have the aftermath of the problem of people that are unproductive, wasted people that you cannot rehabilitate, you cannot restore. What are you going to do with them? The billions that you receive are going to be less than the problem you got. So watch Eswatini in 3 years' time. You'll understand what I'm talking about. So countries are now, Britain was talking to Rwanda to get some people. And most of those people that are being taken to Rwanda are not people who can be useful. So they are not people that can be useful, that can be, spread across the country to be used as human capital. These are people that are going to be in concentration camps, and you are going to spend money to feed these people. I don't even know what is wrong with some presidents. Maybe they just hear the word billions and they think that's something economical. It's a problem. Those billions are more problematic than those people are more. It's like buying a bomb. You spend money to buy a bomb. No matter how cheap that is, it's a bomb. It's going to kill you. So men must be given an opportunity to be heard. But what is making men apparently wanting to commit suicide, according to the Prime Minister, he's speaking from experience, is financial stress. Financial stress is the one that is leading people to commit suicide or wanting to commit suicide. But since I also said I'm a suicide survivor, one thing about suicide is not really about what you are going through. It's about who you think you are, how you start to interpret the situation. So, suicide is based on a selfish decision where you become very selfish and self-centered. That you don't see yourself in a wrong. You see yourself all the time as a victim. And that is dangerous. That is one thing that makes people kill themselves. And even when they are committing suicide, they think they are fixing whoever. And they are looking for, you are looking for somebody to kind of, be all the time after you. You are looking for a certain attention and you are not getting enough of it. You create a situation, you give it a name, you interpret it, you empower it, you amplify it, you exaggerate it, you overemphasize it, you misunderstand everything, you misunderstand the situation, and then you align the situation and you want the situation, because now life only revolves around you and what you feel. You become the most important person, and everybody else is mistreating you. You are the victim. And then you decide, let me take my life so that they see. No, it is not anybody that is going to see. You are going to see. If you take your life thinking that you are fixing the other person, no, you just fixed yourself, but in a wrong way. Because suicide is mostly driven by selfish motives. And I'm talking from experience. So in as much as we are going through financial stress, one thing that I have learned in my life is that if something is not working, I leave it. If something is not working, leave it. And you go for what works. Even if I find myself that I'm now surviving on $1,000, I might just find a means on how to live within that 1,000 confines. Because that's all I have. I must accept that. And the moment you accept that, okay, $1,000 is all I have, you are likely tomorrow to improve and start making a 2,000. The problem is that we are refusing to accept that we no longer have money. Because when we had money, we built a prestigious, perceptive lifestyle. We built a fantasy around having money. And now when the time to have no more money has come, we become nostalgic to the fantasy life or perceptive lifestyle that we lived when we had money. That is what leads us into problem. It is not the lack of money that leads people into suicide. No. It is a perceptive fantasy that people long. That prestigious, fake life that we live when we have money is what we long for, and we are embarrassed now that we cannot attain to that level anymore. And then to avoid it, we want to commit suicide. This is the state in which the Prime Minister was. With due respect. And I'm talking from experience because I'm a suicide survivor. You see, I did not attempt to kill myself. The rope was on my neck. So I was almost gone. I know what I'm talking about. But the problem is not the lack of something. It's not the lack of money that leads people into suicide. That's why I'm talking to you. I'm saying we like talking about the cost. But we avoid talking about the cost, because if we talk about the cost, we will see that we are the problem. When I came back to my senses, I found out that all along I was the main problem. I was the main source of the reason why I wanted to commit suicide. I was the main problem. I found out that. So I found out that I was the main problem because of the way I interpreted the situation. So we miss that life because when we have money, the way we live is different. So let's say, for example, I used to live in Sibabasia, and now I can no longer afford to live there. You see, the decision I will take, I will go and I said, look, I'm going to Havana to Ekambashu because that's all I can afford. And sometimes our children will say, no, I'm not going to Ekambashu. Never. Oh, I'm seeing coming out of it. No, I'm seeing. So, okay. If it is all about, you can go wherever you can go, but I am going to Ekambashu because that's all I can afford. We must learn to take decisions. Real decisions. Because the only problem we have is that we don't want to be, we don't want to come down. That's why most of us, when we have money, we destroy bridges. We burn bridges. We destroy the stairs when we are up there. And then we find out that it is hot up there. You want to come down. You don't know how to come down because you have destroyed the stairs. That's why we say, do not destroy the stairs, because you will need them on your way down. Do not destroy the stairs because you are up, because you will need the stairs on your way down. So it is true, men must be heard but men must also realize that it is not always external issues that leads them into suicide. The issue is internal. How you selfishly interpret the situation and align it to your self-pity and self-victimization, that you are now a victim. In that case, you are not going to realize you're wrong, because you can be, when it comes to suicide, you are 90% wrong, 100% misled. That is what led you are 100% selfish and 90% wrong. The 10% is not enough to cause you to commit suicide. It is the 90% which is self-generated. "26 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock. So, and it is financial stress that leads people to commit suicide, which can be true to a certain extent, but not true to a certain extent, because there are many people that don't have money, they are still alive. It is a perceptive, deceptive, fake life that we create when we have money. And we are embarrassed when we are in our attempt to come to terms with the fact that we no longer have the money and that we can no longer live the way we were living. We are now ashamed of admitting that, and we live in denial. And that state of living in denial is what contributes to the selfish decision that you are going to take in order to destroy your life. It is not financial stress alone that brings that. In fact, financial stress can be dealt with. If I owe and I can no longer pay and I'm taken to ITC will not kill me. They can take my name internationally that I don't qualify to be to borrow money. It is fine. I will not die. I will not die. So, even countries go bankrupt. Companies go bankrupt and they close. They get liquidated. Namibia is one of them. So I was having a restaurant in the north, and I decided I'm closing down. And some people were asking me, what will the people say? So, no, I don't care about what people will say. I'm closing down. I can no longer afford to, because this thing is taking from my pocket. I'm just working to pay the person working, and I'm not getting anything out of it, and you are telling me what will the people say. No, I don't care about what the person is going to say. I'm closing down. And I close down. People can talk all they want. In fact, when you open a business, people talk. They will start to suspect where you took the money from, where you got the money from. When you close down,
what's not to love about USave's special mid-August combo? For just $219 Namibian, you can get 5 bags of essential foods, 2.5 kilos of Champion Super Maize Meal, 5 kilos Bokomo Fit Cook Flour, 2 kilogram nice rice, 1 kilo selected Grande Pasta, and 2 kilograms Marathon Sugar. That's just $219 Namibian for 5 bags of essential products. Yes, we all save at USave.
So when you get money, people will talk. When you don't have money, people will talk. So the Prime Minister should know that what brings suicide is not the lack of money. It's not financial, stress. It is a perception. How you perceive your situation, how you interpret it. That is what contributes to most, because you start to perceive yourself that now, because you don't have more money anymore, you are no more the person that you used to be. That's not true. And most people, sometimes people even can even say, no, you are no more the France we used to know. I say, it's fine. We are now in 2026. The France you need to know died with 2025. It's a new year now. New year, new me. Because I cannot be stuck on one level. I need to grow. And growing means changing. So we like pleasing people. We like putting up a face for people, validation. And that lack of validation is the one that makes us feel we are now worthless because we don't have money anymore. Because I'm no longer driving a Mercedes-Benz. Sell the Mercedes-Benz. Huh? Why should you be bothered by a Mercedes-Benz? Now you are on. You go into the, or at the filling station whispering to a petrol attendant. You want him to come near, and some petrol attendants are very rude. They say, hey, Popsa. You see, you want him to come near so that you can whisper, because you can only afford fuel for you to reach home. Sell the thing. Don't be stressed by a motor vehicle. Sell it and start a small business. Now you are whispering, 50. 50 on a G-Wagon? No. Petrol attendants will be surprised. And somebody will come with a Nissan 1400 and say, Macom 4. You see? So that life that we build around ourselves, that perception, that prestigious fake fantasy, is the reason why we commit suicide when we start to have little money. It is not necessarily a financial stress or the lack of money. It is the perception that we build when we have money. And now we become nostalgic to that perceptive and fake prestigious fantasy. Because when you understand, you do self-counseling, you start to understand that, okay, I no longer have money. I can no longer afford to run a restaurant. I told everyone that I'm closing down. But what will the people say? People knew you as a business person. I said, look, a business person is not written on my ID. So I'm closing this thing down now. And it closed down. Because we need to realize that when you don't have, you don't have. The problem is also our culture. We have a culture that forces us to put up a face that doesn't exist. That's why even our fathers die. We are telling them, look, sell this kettle. No, they cannot be sold because my father wants to keep up a face that he has cattle. But these cattle are not assets, they are liabilities. Just to find one of the bulls, it has fallen because it is hungry and is died. He also died of heart attack. Because his ego and his validation has been tampered with. His cows are dying. And he also dies. So what did he achieve? Nothing. We accumulate wealth and things just to achieve nothing. Because we are forced to put up a face. This is the problem. It's the reason why men cannot be heard. Because they are forced to put up a face that does not exist. You know yourself that you cannot afford that kind of lifestyle. So you know yourself that you are not able to maintain a Mercedes Benz, and you are buying it. You only could afford the money to buy it, but you can't afford the money to keep it. There's a difference between acquiring something and keeping it. So this is what brings us into problem, because now you put up a face, you sell it, you market it. It's you get as much validation as possible, and now you cannot afford to drop it. I enjoyed being called a business person, but I came to the point of saying, look, business person is not my name. My name is France. With or without business, I closed down. So, this is what is leading many of us into problem. It's not about financial stress. It's not about financial stress. It is, the issue is inside. The issue is a mentality. The mindset, our understanding and perception of life is the one that needs to change. And society needs to stop thinking that money is life. So we need to stop this thinking. We need to stop this understanding of thinking that money is all about, life is all about money. No, people can live without money. This is, when it comes to the capitalist economy, yes, but not the real life, not the reality of life. Money is not life. You can have money all you want, but your time, when it is time to die, you cannot buy back your life. You will die and you leave your money behind. There are many rich people that died. They had all the money and they continue dying. So money is not life. Money is just buying. For you to buy things. And if you don't have money, it's okay. We need to understand that. And the problem is that this is being amplified by government, by statistic agencies, that people that are living below $2 per day, apparently they are poor. That is a perception built by the statistic agencies, our own included. Who told you that when people don't have money, they are poor? Who said that? It's a perception, it's a capitalist fantasy. And this is what is killing us. And this is what almost took the Prime Minister, because he was also, having suicidal thoughts. Now, it was not because of financial stress. It was because of this capitalistic, perceptive, prestigious, fake fantasy of exalting money higher than anything else. So, money is important. When you have it, you can buy, yes, you can do, but money is not life. And money is not a measure of, not having money is not a measure of poverty. The way poverty is being misinterpreted and misemphasized and exaggerated is the reason why people find themselves wanting to take their life when they come to the point of not having money. Because the way we do things, even the way we talk about poor, who is poor? I was so poor that I cannot, I was so poor that I was sleeping in a car. You are sleeping in a car? Whose car is that? Is your car? You are poor, sleeping in a car. So poverty is being misinterpreted, overinterpreted, reinterpreted. Poverty is being exaggerated, overemphasized, and money is being exalted above all things. And that is what brings problem. That's what brings problem, because it's a perception. Have you seen an Oshuambo person building a storage facility like Okanda to store grain? He will build it very big. Very big. And then next time, people who are distributing drought relief comes to his house and they say a big storage, and then they say, no, Tate, you don't qualify. You don't qualify because look at that big thing. You have enough. But that thing is empty. That thing is empty. Because when they see the size of a storage facility, they think it is filled to capacity. A lot of people in the north were complaining that they did not, qualify to receive drought relief, food, because in their houses, how do you come to whole wall fence with taps of water, and you want to tell me that you qualify for drought relief? No, you don't. This is almost town. But all those houses were just built like that, but they are empty. There's no food. And when they say they also need food, they are not lying. So it's a perception that we are forced to live. We are not allowed to live our real life. I think the issue is not about men being heard or what. No, let the government, let the statistic agencies, let all agencies, including international agencies, allow us to live our real life. Because they are busy selling fake life perceptions to people. And when people cannot attain that, they commit suicide. So allow people to live their lives, to live their real life. If I have $10 per day and that's what I have, fine, leave me alone. Don't tell me that I'm poor. Because you are trying to pull me to your club, and I cannot afford to be in your club. So the Mr. Alex Shimafeni, the statistic agency, I think it's I don't know how they call it's a chief statistician. Please, say, let poverty be reinterpreted. Let it be given its true meaning. The cause of suicide when it comes to financial stress, it is big, and we are part of it because because of the way we interpret situation. So allow people to live within their means. Don't force people to come to your means of life, and you use your pocket as a basis to interpret who, what rich or what poor is. No, guys. You see, I was shocked to hear that the Prime Minister was also having a suicidal thoughts. But this is not coming from a lack of money. It's coming from a perception that over the years had been built, and now it is no longer there. And that nostalgic feeling is what pushes one to think to decide, I am now no longer the one. I'm now not, those times. You start to feel, you start to think, start to miss the past. You start to interpret life based on your past. That's not financial stress. No, we are accusing financial stress. That's perception you have built. That's aftermath of the disappearance of a fake, perception that existed. And that was supposed to be an opportunity for us to say, hey, I all along have not been living a life. Let me now build a life. With little money that I have, let me start a life. Not the little money that I have, let me commit suicide because now I'm no longer myself. It's supposed to say, let me start a life. So, we need to start, statistic agencies we cannot internationalize poverty or interpret poverty according to American standard of life. No, we are not Americans. What is poverty to Namibia? Who is poor according to Namibian understanding of life? You are poor when what? Because what measure are they using to determine who is poor and who is not? This is what is a problem. This is what is bringing the problem. This is what is causing all this thing. Who determines who is poor? What is poverty? So what is poverty? That is what we need to know from the statistic agency, from the government. The chairperson of poverty eradication, labor and industrial relations, come and interpret to people what poverty is. What is that poverty that you are trying to eradicate? How did you come to the conclusion that it is poverty? What did you use? What is the basis of that judgment or that conclusion? Who is interpreting our situation? To whom? For what? To achieve what? So we are being fed fantasies. We are being fed fantasies. When sometimes I used to listen to my parents, I used to listen to them feeding my siblings with fantasy. Because I'm a realist from my childhood. And if I could have gone that way, I would not have been where I am. So we are being fed with fantasy. We are too few to be poor. That's very true. But what is poverty? What is the president's interpretation of poverty? Is when what? Is a lack of what? That will determine whether or not the president is able to fight poverty in this country. That is going to determine whether or not we have a parliamentary standing committee on poverty eradication. When the parliamentary standing committee is able to interpret to us what poverty is. That's why it is very important for a voter to understand first your life before you get into the so-called voter education, which is just talking about your right to stand in the line and point your voter's card to a machine. That's not all about voter education. So that's why we say when you go to the rallies, when you listen to the government official speaking, or whether it is your party official, listen to him with your medulla oblongata, not with your ears. Gone are the days when we used to listen with ears. No, let's resign from that. Because what is being said it cuts deeper than the ears. Gone are the days when you are seeing with eyes and you think you can see. No, stop blinking. Because what is happening is beyond eyes. It's beyond what sight can comprehend. So, how do we measure poverty? How do we determine this is a poor household? How do we determine that? Ministry of Gender. Ministry of Gender, Namibia Statistic Agency, Bank of Namibia. What are you using to establish that Namibian poor people are this much or this many? Are we not using a wrong standard or a wrong scale? Are we not using a wrong scale here? Because if you want to measure kilometers, you don't bring a scale that measures in kilograms, because you are going to get wrong figures. Or you want to measure liters. I'm not good in geometry or whatever you call it, but I'm sure there are different scales to measure different things. With the little wisdom remaining in me, I'm sure there is no one scale that measures everything. They have what they use to measure length and the distance, height, and the depth, and then they have width. And the breadth. All right. I think we have done justice to that. But, unpacking the day helps you to think deeper. Think deeper. Use your medulla oblongata. Use your medulla oblongata. Are we not using a wrong scale or wrong standards to measure? Are we not using fantasy to measure reality? It seems that we are using fantasy to measure reality. That's why even our love is not moving anywhere, because we watched a lot of Telemundo and a lot of Z World, a lot of Hollywood movies, and we think life is about that. Those things are fantasies. They are there to market. They are not the real life. So let's make a U-turn and find our realities. We have left our realities very far. We are now 180 degrees out of reality. We are into fantasy. That's why we talk about the fantasies of money, and we think that is a reality of life. Me, I'm a poor person. All I have is my brain. And now it also cuts onto how do we measure poverty? Because nowadays, when you don't have money, you are poor. When you don't have data, you are poor. Even if you have food, enough food to eat, but you just don't have money, apparently you are poor. Poverty to me is the state of mind. If you cannot think, when you cannot apply knowledge to something, to me that is poverty. Because wealth starts with knowledge, wisdom, how to acquire it, and it doesn't end there. It's also how to keep it. And this is what, when I always engage with my colleagues here, I tell them that, look, your gift can take you there. Your degrees, your qualifications can earn you a job. But it is your character that is going to keep you in that job. It's no longer your degrees. So we have different knowledges. We have different level of knowledge. There is a knowledge to acquire, the wisdom to acquire things. But the wisdom to acquire things is not what you are going to apply if you want to keep those things. So you need a new wisdom to keep what you have acquired. To acquire something, to get money, to earn money is different from keeping the money or making the money work for you. That's very different. It's 3 minutes to 8, our last hour. By 8, I'll open the lines. People have turned me into a preacher. Imagine talking for 2 hours. Of course, it's 3 minutes before we get to 8 o'clock. We're going for a short break, and I'm going to open the lines from there. The number in studio is 083-288-8401. That's the number in studio. And you are going to, call in and let me hear your views. Yeah, we have a question always in our minds. When we lose whatever it is that we have, we always say, what are the people going to say? What are the people vanotaka chane ngaipi? Vatu vakaling. Vatu vakaling. Uvanota tingaipi antotaka changini. We have that, but let the people talk. If you are coming down, you think you can no longer stay in Sibabasia, you are paying 17,000 per month, you can get into Katutura and save 11,000. Go back to Katutura and save 11,000. Then you will see the difference. That 11,000 per month, when you are saving it, is going to be how much by the end of the year? A lot of money. Now you are paying 15, 16,000, 17,000 per month rent just to maintain the prestigious perception, just to maintain prestige that you stay in a new Sibabasia. But you are not making it. You are stressed. You are not living a life. You are living a perception. You have built a fantasy. Now we go for a short break, and after a short break, my lines are open. You can come through to air your views.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I'm planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Sizuma, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional and church events, and basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye.
All right, 8 o'clock. I didn't know I was going to pull it this far because my head is pounding, it's aching. And I didn't want to lay down because, laying down is worse than you become more sick. I know that this is a time, weather is changing and my body is trying to adjust to it, and you saw it's problematic. 083-234-8401. How do we deal with this issue? We have a lot of people that are walking dead, but I want you to come to life. I want you to come to life. Life is not just all about money. Life is bigger than that. Money, life started before money. We lived our lives before coins were ever made, and the life was better. And of course, you will say, you are just a small, a young man. You don't know. In fact, I'm no longer a young man. I am now I'm now over 40. So, though I did not come, I was not around for a long time. I've been with elders who could live without money. And it was well. They were happy. One day my grandmother came to town, to my uncle's house at town, and he saw how people were buying onions. They were buying tomatoes. They were buying things that are readily available at the village where you can just go and get. My grandmother said, look, take me back. This is insane. How do you people buy onion? How do you buy onion? You go and buy onion. You go and buy tomato. You go and buy... What is that? Morning.
Morning, Franz. How are you?
Yes. Morning.
Morning. Yeah, yesterday I listened to that General Lenga, but I didn't get time to come in. It was so interesting. So for today, I will just talk about the issue of knowledge and the poverty. Yeah, they said, I always remember a story by Wanda during those days, that yes, people say they are living in poverty and they have got assets. Assets includes now the land that you need to be utilized for one to create wealth, and that part, it's not known. I did also not know that poverty is, the really poverty is lack of knowledge, lack of information. And even when you have knowledge, they say knowledge is power, but apparently it's only power, knowledge is only power when it's used correctly and meaningfully. So even the car that you were talking about, somebody saying is living in poverty, but he has got a car, and those cars, property, things like cars, they become like as if, we praise them so much, unlike the dwelling, places. So I think there is a really need to emphasize more on the issue of poverty and how we can utilize our land or whatever we have to start fighting against poverty. So it's a good education that you are mentioning. You are also mentioning about whether humanity started in Africa. That doesn't matter really again, because we have got our artifacts stolen, which I believe we could have built. It was stand as our foundation to build our base, knowledge base. So please, it's good to emphasize on those issues. Those who are listening and learning, we might learn some few things and then connect the pieces. So thank you very much, France, for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you very much.
But I still need to know how are those people of our category, like yourself and many others, the Kandaris, because those people they are educated. So, and I don't know how they can be encouraged or gathered to be given specific information, because they have a knowledge already. So to work in those with those machines, those technological equipment. So I don't know. So thank you very much, Ate France.
All right, thank you, Uncle Bana.
Okay.
All right, 083-288-8401. That is a number in studio for you if you want to come. If you want to come in. How do we interpret poverty? What is poverty? When we say people are poor, what do we mean? Because I also hear from you politicians and even though you people that are decolonized. What was these people? Somebody saying they are decolonized. Because how do you measure decolonization? Is it forsaking part of the modern society and embracing whatever it is, or what is it? So it is how we interpret terminologies. The world is full of terminologies, and results only come because when only are determined by how they are interpreted. So, morning.
Morning, good afternoon.
Yes.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine.
Yes.
Yeah, defining of poverty, I think, you see, poverty is only when people, they cannot afford the four basic necessities. They cannot afford. Their income cannot afford their four basic necessities. And if people they cannot afford that four basic necessities, one of those four basic necessities, they can cause death. Because if you don't have food, you can die because of hunger. If you don't have a cloth, you can die by just think. And you see today, I heard the statistics saying that Namibians, there are 90,000 mentally disturbing, problem. And also, if you see the crime, when economics says, they're saying that poverty can cause what? Crime, prostitution, and the crime is also including this, what we talk about now, suicide. It's a crime. Domestic violence can be caused by poverty. And the people are selling their bodies because of it's poverty. Poverty is painful. People, they went to fight for their country. It's like somebody who commits suicide. Because if you decide to go to war, you decide to go and die. It's because of poverty. We must handle poverty very careful. But if we let it go out of hand, it will cause a lot of problems. People, they are committing suicide because of the fear of poverty. Because the situation in which they are today, they left with no option. If it's something left with no option, what they should do? They should decide. Therefore, we must handle this poverty careful. We must put it under control. If we let it go out, now, if people they cannot afford their four basic necessities, it means, you see, extreme poverty. People cannot pay where to live. People cannot buy food. Even water. People who have outstanding of water, their water is cut off. It's because of who? Income. They cannot afford. It's not because they are rude. It's because they don't have the money to pay that water. Therefore, it's a poverty. If we are just saying that no, people they cannot do what's on. No. We must take it seriously. If you are not serious, the situation will continue and go to worse. By just saying that what's on like that. Doesn't make a decision because of that. They fear poverty. As people they will fear in the colonial era, they will fear poverty and they decide. Over 40,000 they decided to go to die. It's because they think poverty is the same like death. That's what they said. Therefore, they decide to go and die. Instead of dying, that let us vote to be poor. They vote to go to die. Therefore, we must be taken careful. Yeah, that's what I'm also advising people. Not just what's on, and they move around what. They go straight to the point. What is the cause of these things? What is the cause? We must find out what is the cause of this higher suicide, higher crime, and the higher what? Mentally disturbed in the country. You must find out what is the cause. If you find, you can even find, but not just like that. Okay. I give you opportunity to add out.
Okay.
Need some help with the groceries this month? Then USave has a competition that is just for you. Every Friday between 1 and 2 p.m., Eagle FM will be giving away a $500 USave voucher. To stand a chance of winning the $500 USave voucher, all you have to do is follow Eagle FM Namibia on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and be on the lookout for the weekly competition question. USave, where good food costs less. No matter where you are, if you have a mobile device, you can tune into Namibia's #1 talk radio station by downloading the Eagle FM app on the Google Play Store or on the Apple App Store. Download the Eagle FM app to tune into live Eagle FM programming or to listen to podcasts of previous broadcasts. Eagle FM, Namibia's #1 talk radio station.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I'm planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Sizuma, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional and church events, and basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye.
All right, 0832888401. That's a number in studio if you want to be part of the conversation. We are continuing. All right, while you are still coming, let me do this. Now, the United Nations says they are just 36%, achieving goals of, the short-term, goals of the United Nations. 49% of the country is, marginally. They do not even achieve, they cannot achieve this, and 15% is even below that. So what is causing that lack of achievement is because of conflict and some economic crisis in other countries. Now, what are these, United Nations, short-term goals? There are 17 of them. 17 of them. And I'm going to go through one of them, all of them, and then you determine where Namibia is. Just look at Namibia at these 17, short-term goals of the United Nations. So number one is to end poverty in all its forms, everywhere. So the United Nations want to end poverty in all its forms, everywhere. This is what we are talking about. What is poverty? Now we are saying, how do you define poverty? Number two, end hunger and achieve food security and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. Okay? You look at where Namibia is. Is Namibia on the way to end hunger and achieve food security and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture? Is Namibia heading there? But these are the United Nations goals. Other countries have done that. Then number three, ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. This one, I think Namibia is trying, because our hospitals and clinics are doing that to a certain extent. We don't have medicine in the hospital, yes, but we still have free health care everywhere in Namibia. Then number four, ensure inclusive, equitable, quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunity for all. That is number four. Ensure inclusive, equitable, quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunity for all, or opportunities for all. You see, Namibia is there. Is Namibia there? Then, number 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. This one, Namibia has done well. This one, Namibia has done well. They have zebra style now in SWAPO. And this government now is female. So, here, Namibia has done very well, but they are empowering a girl child over to the expense of a boy child. They are trampling on a boy child in order to empower the girl child. That is 6. Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. You put Namibia there and see whether they have achieved this. Number 7, ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Number 7, ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. And then number 8, promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. That's number 8. This can only achieved with oil and gas. According to the president, when oil and gas shall come, everyone in Namibia will have a job. Okay? Well, when oil and gas shall come, everyone will have a job in Namibia. Number 8, I will repeat it. Promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Number 9, build resilient infrastructure. Promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and foster innovation. So 9 says build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Number 10, reduce inequality within and among countries. Namibia and South Africa are still the most unequal societies in the world. How the United Nations is going to do that, nobody knows. But number 11, make cities and human settlement inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Number 11, make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Number 12, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. So ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Number 13, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. Number 14, conserve and sustainably use sustainable use oceans and seas and marine resources for sustainable development. So number 15, protect, restore, and promote the use of terrestrial ecosystems sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reserve land degradation. Number 15 is to protect, restore, and promote the use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reserve land degradation, or preserve land degradation. And then halt biodiversity loss. Then 16, promote peaceful, inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Then the last one, that's goal number 17, strengthens the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. I will repeat number 17. Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. These are the goals of the United Nations. These are the 17 short-term goals of the United Nations, and the United Nations is saying these are not being achieved at the speed expected. Why? Well, those are the 17 goals. So those 17 goals, which one do you think Namibia has done well? The number in studio is 0832888401. It is 29 minutes past the hour. 28 still with few seconds after 8. And 9 o'clock I'll be out of here. So you better just call now and let's have a conversation. It is a conversation, not a conflict. And we'll take a short break. We'll take a short break. We'll take a short break in 2 minutes time. So then I can come and do my conclusion for the last 30 minutes. We'll come and do our conclusion to make emphasis on some of our stories that we covered today. We just come and make emphasis on some of the stories. Okay? Yes.
Hey, Franz.
Morning.
Morning, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm okay, man.
Yes.
Yes, we are far from achieving those goals. I can tell you maybe, I think...
limonene yakololo internet yendelela toitulirwa moshali ove tohupifana tango oshimaliwa shifike pedola dhaNamibia 2,250 okuja mefiko la 3 Aguste fyomo mafiko 30 Septemba itokapula ufuta oshimaliwa shonumba okutulirwa mweyakulolo engenge owelishangifwa kontrakta keshe yo Pirates Fiber ile Skyfi ototulirwa mweyakulo lipelo internet Khupifa fio pedra dala mibio ma veja validno mafele eja tano. Omeumbo ilo mongeshefa eakulo only nongushu. Talela po pirates.africa/Namibia. Nde toli shangifanena.
Always prepared. Paratus.
ShopRite's birthday is in the Major League with major low prices. Get 4 kg Real Good IQF chicken, mixed portion, only 194 Namibian dollars 99. 5 kg Marathon White Sugar for 99 Namibian dollars 99. And 5 kg Top Score Super Maize Meal, just 69 Namibian dollars 99. Valid until 23 August 2026. Get major savings with ShopRite's Major League birthday. Plus, pick a box for a chance to win your share of over $500,000 Namibian dollars and weekly gift cards with ShopRite. Buy any 3 participating products, WhatsApp the code on your till slip, and pick a box to see if you're a winner. Only at ShopRite.
Yes, Flans.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Flans, I think I can count like a 5. How much we are doing better. Like you say, I think it's number 2 for gender. That gender we done very well. I think we are doing it to extreme even where we even are portraying the young boys child. Because we achieve that more than that we are supposed even to be. And when it comes also to inclusive education, I think we are doing it better. Because if you look, we are even the disability people who are able to study. I'm talking about even a blind person or a person with a mental system. They are able also to pick up something there. Even some TV, even they are offering that, where a person can do woodwork or something with their hands. And also the last one which I see, number 17, when it comes to better role of international and global. My friend, that is very attractive. We are doing more than that when it comes to investors and so on. Everybody is coming to Namibia. Because this is a country, I think, where everybody can get away with what they call like not money laundering, but they call it another way. It's like a tax haven.
Yeah.
It's a tax haven country. Yeah, it's a tax haven country where everybody can you are free to come. That's why most people are attracted to come to invest in Namibia. Okay, then another one is for climate. When I say climate, we are doing better because if you look, even at recently, we refuse the what? Phosphate mining, not to disturb our ecosystem when it comes to marine resource. And what's the other one? What I record again? I think we are there. I forget even now. But really, when you look at achieving only the 5 pillars, and you look, there are 17. Especially when you are talking about unequal society. My friend, we are doing so badly. Just imagine, in the global world where you have Ethiopia, you have Somalia, you have Sudan, DRC, but they are even better. They are even sharing their resources than us. We are just 3.7 million. And that is the problem, I think, why we have a lot of suicide in Namibia. That's why we have, recently they are saying what? We have a lot of people are getting mental. That is poverty, which is putting people there because people, they don't know what anymore to do. There's no solution. But if you look now, when you are rated second in the world, what does it tell you? And our leaders, nobody's saying anything. They are all quiet. It will look like maybe to them it's a simple thing, but really in their reality, when you look at this things happening, it's really affecting our lifespan. That's why most of the people are dying in Namibia now is the young people. Yeah, we are even picking up chronic diseases like high blood pressure, heart attack, you name it, so many. And it is not taking us anywhere because more money is going to be spent in what Ministry of Health to procure those medicines needed. Instead of to live healthy life, but we cannot live a healthy life because we have so many problems surrounding us. You talk about even like a land distribution. It's one of the worst in this country. I'm telling you, just imagine a young person, cannot afford a house. Where does you now, as a leader, place you that we are doing something to get the gap between the rich and the poor? So the rich are getting more richer, the poor are getting more poorest. And this is the problem. So I think when we are coming also to United Nations, there are some things I think they need to start forcing the country. Countries like Namibia, they need to be forced. Because I'm telling you, you cannot have a person, one person is having more than what? More than 10,000 hectares. In the country where a person just asking to have 300 square meters, but you have what? A law which is really regarding that, if I'm having my 10,000 hectares, you cannot touch it. It's a private. And now you have a person who just cannot live anywhere. You have to be living in the street. So I think also you touch something with you. I only that I forget it. But it's something like now, like it reminds me like now we are going even to get our skeleton in South Africa to be rebellion. But we have people who are dying for hunger in this country. We are spending money in the aeroplane to go and get those skeleton and everything and whatever ceremony to get. All those are money. But yet, we have people who are suffering already, they're living. So, I think the way we are moving is that we are, how can I put it? We put our priority to the people who are dead instead of the living ones. And there is this dangerous with the ground where I think we are building up as a country. This is only not happening to our government, but it's also happening in our family. Where we are having is saying, no, guys, let us put money together to send this kid to college or university. People will tell you they don't have. But just to tell them that somebody, uncle is dead. Yes, everybody's contributing. Even the person who was telling you that doesn't have, is the one who's sending him even more than 5,000. I think somehow really, we need to come to the reality. This is not African way we used to live. We need to share where you can go to your auntie splitting your his own son. But today, they even remind you that you are not my son. You see, that's the problem. This nuclear family which we are building up, it's not taking us anywhere. And this is what is happening currently with our government, because it's only one cycle which is eating and it's only small percentage. That's why we have become in the second war in the world or an equal society in the whole world. Master Franz, let me end up there.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, 0832888401. That's the number in studio if you want to be part of the conversation. If this is part of what you are interested in talking about, you can come through. But the United Nations have the no power to enforce countries to achieve these goals. Morning.
Tata France, all these days you have been talking about poverty, issue of money, economic issues, and things like that. And you were also mentioning about the economic, the parliamentary economic resource, and there are different ones, like you were mentioning yesterday, going on there in the fact-finding mission. one of the issues that crops up is the cash lender, cash loan. Those lenders, the recognized ones, I don't know which ones, and the unrecognized ones, those who need to be regulated. Everybody, whether it's registered or recognized, has to be regulated. The regulation has to be there so that people can comply. Now, when I think about the Aquamaranga, Aquanyoka, all those mapatas that you used to talk about, and how they could have taken up an opportunity to create their banks. So, like yesterday or so, the day before yesterday, I was telling you that I think it's an opportunity if there are a lot of clients there who need money, and everybody actually borrow. So even though what we borrow for bread, not for bread, or for bread, and all this sustenance that can sustain us. So how can we perhaps then use that concept so people to create their bank in the informal sector, where those banks, commercial banks, don't give loans, they don't give things like that. Can perhaps the parliamentarians, I know they can do it because it's up to us to use our so, and then come up with those initiatives, organize ourselves, like I always say, because if you cannot organize yourself, forget about deploying the resources, whether money or people. So, and they register those things, and then now they come in informal, and they contribute a lot, 57%. Africa, 80 to 90% of the informal traders, informal economy. In Namibia, is 57%. Can't we encourage our people to take up those opportunities? Because if we take them up, they say, no, this one was already empowered. This one was already thing. So as we talk like this, we are talking also to bring in information so that that poverty of lack of information can be eradicated as well and start doing something. Thank you very much, Tati France.
All right, thank you.
Good.
083234840, that's number in studio. 18 minutes to 9, you still have ample time to come in. You still have ample time to come in. You still have time to come in and give us your view. The United Nations has no power to enforce or to force countries to achieve these goals. So that is the problem. The United Nations cannot force a country because the United Nations has no. The United Nations is everyone. So everyone cannot fight everyone. There is no place called United Nations. United Nations is everyone. So that's why the United Nations, when Russia and America decides we are going to bomb this one or we are going to bomb that, the United Nations will just be voting there to condemn, and that's it. They don't have the power to bring America to book or Israel to book or Russia to book. Should China decide now that they are going to occupy Taiwan, the Chinese will just go ahead. The United Nations will not do anything because the United Nations is everyone. And we will be going for a short break in a minute's time. And then from them, we are coming to round up with our story. We are coming to round up with the stories that are making headline. This story of borrowing, it is making headline. Borrowing. The story of borrowing, it is making headlines. And we are going to, deal with it. We know we are going to conclude on it. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I'm planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Sizuma, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional and church events, and basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye.
No matter where you are, if you have a mobile device, you can tune into Namibia's #1 talk radio station by downloading the Eagle FM app on the Google Play Store or on the Apple App Store. Download the Eagle FM app to tune into live Eagle FM programming or to listen to podcasts of previous broadcasts. Eagle FM, Namibia's #1 talk radio station.
All right, we continue. It is 13 minutes to 9. You still have ample time to call in. That is enough time. Yes, morning.
Morning, I'm back. You see, I want to give you what. You see, the engineer, they found out that if you never put the joint in the wall, if you build the wall, you rest it to, we should not join there. That wall will be cracked. Yeah, but if you leave a nation which is hopeless, that hopelessness will be reserved in that things which we see today and we hear today. It's because the leader, they failed to create hope. Instead of creating hope, they create hopeless. That is the reason. We cannot blame people by doing that or by practicing that. No, we should blame the leader who is leading the country in that situation which we see today. They should be blamed for that. Why we should blame where we should not blame? If the country is in that situation, who should be blamed? It's the elected leader. If they are there just saying what so on, telling, you see, they got there what, we see people, they were working, and then most especially don't see, maybe it was done at Hangona region there. In one day where 3 teachers committed suicide. And the people, they said, no, even the president was there. I don't know these people, they are working. They are working, but you don't know what's their problem. Therefore, now they find that all those government workers, employees, they are just less busy. Maybe 500 when they are after deductions. It's a lot of deductions. And then from there, they go to cash loan. And that cash loan, it is piling up, and they hired that, then the person, he have a sleepless night. In the days you find him or dead committed, you never investigate from where what is the cause of the problem. No. They said the police investigation will continue with no findings. Until today, they never find what is the cause of that. Therefore, they fail there. They must be blamed for that. They should take action to eradicate what is in the country today, most especially poverty, higher unemployment, in this country, homelessness, and this should be reduced. If you have a good leader, they must reduce that. Why we vote them there? Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay, why did we vote them? Why did you vote for them? But these guys are just also human beings. The only difference is that they just are in power. They are just human beings like us. They can also commit suicide. You see, let's not think they are made of a special. They are made out of bricks. They are just human beings like us. They can also go through. They can also go through problem. They can also go through depression. They can also go through stress. So they can, not everyone that commits suicide is because of money. Some people commit suicide with with fat checks in their accounts. Hello.
Mr. Franz, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Just a few seconds, as we are busy wrapping up.
Yes.
You spoke about suicide and you also spoke about poverty.
Yeah.
And then, in my opinion, is that poverty is basically what's the word subjective. Because if you look at Jose, the former president of Argentina, they used to call him the poorest president in the world. But he actually says he's actually wealthier than everybody else with money.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you might give me money, but that money will become a problem to me. Or wealth, and that wealth will become a problem to me. Because if you look at the people that actually won the lottery, they actually end up in more trouble than before they got the money. So at the end of the day, I think we should ask ourselves, who's poor and why are they poor? Because someone at the village who's just enjoying their normal whatever they get from the soil, they are satisfied with that. So if I'm satisfied with what I'm having, I'm basically, you cannot categorize me as living under the category of poverty. But if I'm not able to survive as a human being, that food, because one of the basic needs is basically food and shelter. So if I'm unable to survive, to get food to the point of survival, then maybe you can define me as poverty, as poor. Because the European standard of what's poor shouldn't be an umbrella standard to everyone at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Lastly, also, when it comes to money and suicide, I think, Mr. Franz, have you actually realized that most of us when we get a job, what do? We start spending. Why do we spend? Because finally we have now access to things that we never had access to.
It's a perception.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, we acquire things that we don't even need just because we have access to them. And then we when you buy yourself a car, which is a Corolla, and then you actually demand that you get a better salary. You get a better salary, you buy a better car, a better house again. And so goes our habits as well. So at the end of the day, the problem is basically not money itself, because at the end of the day, we should ask that the problem is basically our relationship with money.
Yeah.
Because money is something that is new to us. Once something is new to you that you didn't grow up with, and you receive it, what's going to happen if you actually do not understand its laws? That's why most of us you have accountants, you have those that actually study business management, those that study economics. But when you look at their lifestyle and their relationship with money, it's not that good at all. So at the end of the day, we were actually trained to be people that actually get the job at the end of the day and continue going to the job, but we actually never told the principal law of money. When we were children, we were told that a child having money, it's a big taboo. But when you look at the Jews, why are they having such a great advantage? Because they already had a good relationship with money at a younger age.
They were taught to handle money.
They were taught to handle money.
In fact, they were not taught to spend it. They were taught to invest it.
They were taught to invest it at a younger age because the child gets 3 jars, one for spending, one for tithing, and one for saving, and the other one for investment. So they already knew at the younger age that if I get a $10, what am I going to do to make sure that it multiplies? Should I get a pack of sweets and continue selling? Should I get this so that I continue selling, or what? They are already thinking that particular direction. Look at Alito Dangote if you listen to his story. He already started investing when he was young. Why? Because his father and his grandfathers were actually wealthy, and that was actually passed on to him at the end of the day. So whether he didn't have money to start with, the education and the culture was already instilled into him. Now, for most of us, that education and culture sometimes has to start when we start working. And by that time, when we start working, we cannot even control the emotions of money.
We are full-grown trees.
We are full-grown trees. Because you forget that you cannot handle money if you cannot handle the emotion that makes you feel excited at the end of the day. And also our relationship with debts. How were we taught? What is debt? Debt is a bad thing. But when you look at every company, it actually uses debts to advantage itself. When a millionaire has a million in his account, he does not use that million to invest. He actually takes debts against that particular million that he has. And the thing is, these are information that we do not have. And sometimes we also work for companies, but we don't sit down with the owner of the company and says, how do you actually advance forward? So that I can also learn. We go there, we work for money. By the end of the day, the money is actually gone. That's why, Mr. Franz, you have people that are owning $2,000 or $3,000. But at the end of every Friday, where would you find them when they get their paycheck? With the little money that they get, you find them dancing and buying a lot of beer and alcohol. And then we say that these people are poor. These people are poor that getting a little that they're getting, but they're still spending the little that they're getting. Why? Because they don't understand. Let me end there, Mr. Franz.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes, because they don't understand. So we are poor because we do not understand. So poverty is a state of mind. So let's not Europeanize Namibian poverty. Let's not Americanize, the Namibian poverty. So Namibian Statistic Agency maybe is using the UN model of definition of poverty. But please allow us to live a life. Allow us to live a real life. Because a lot of these agencies, including government, you are selling as a fantasy. Please, if I have $20 and $50 and I can find my way around that, let me live my life. Don't tell me that I'm poor because I only have a $50. If I can find a way to live within the means of a 50, please allow me to live my life. Don't use your pocket to define my poverty. Because this is what is bringing problem. We are forced to live a perception, a fantasy, and a fake life that does not exist in reality. And then, when we don't have money, what happens? We want to kill ourselves because we miss that fake life. You are the last person. Okay, this one was just coming to check if what is speaking, if it is true. I'm alive. I am alive. So if you want to come through, I can give you 1 more minute. 0832888401. So allow us to live a life. If I can live within the means of $1,500 and it can meet my need, let it so be. Don't use your pocket don't use your English discombobulating, bombastic, terminologies. And don't use your academic prowess to define my poverty. Because, sometimes that is what happens. No, they are poor because they just have a 1,500. No. If that can meet our needs, we are not poor. Please. Yes.
Yes, that's France. Just 1 minute.
Mm.
Yeah, it's true indeed what he's saying, because sometimes the money, when you get it, you get excited. Especially like you can see even our callers. When it comes to month end or Friday, you don't see much them like Monday. You can already tell that we get excited like a Friday, month end. We are so happy, we don't have problem. That's why we don't receive more calls like the way we used to do, like during the not a month end.
You guys call when you are broke.
Yeah, that's the thing. We call when you are broke. When you are having problems.
Just to come and vent. And then you come angry. You come angry. You come angry against the government, against the president.
Everybody.
Yeah, you come. You are angry. You call when you are broke. I know it very well, that one.
That's what I'm telling you. That's how we do it in Namibia. It's what we are saying, that the problem here, but you cannot really blame the person who doesn't grow up with that money. But at least there must be option for those people. Like now, when we are looking at our economy, like Namibia now, where we are, you look at even the food alone. Everybody's eating bread, isn't it? But how much is the bread costing? We do have a special bread for the rich people and the poor. We know, we understand this, but mostly we are buying the white and brown. There's no yellowish bread. Like a way we can find it, then it's those people are living in our brick. They can live this white and brown bread for the poor, for Havana or Koreahab or Anjapan. Not like that. There's no option. That's why I'm saying there must be option. Like if the electricity is there, we understand that they are paying more at our brick than the people in Havana. But at least the unit must not be the same, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, because now we are all in one category. The person who's getting more than 70,000 a month and the person who's getting 2,000, there's no difference when it comes to charging of municipality services. You talk about even water is the same, isn't it? Unit is the same. Apart from maybe when we are talking about fixing the road. Yes, those guys, they cannot stay away for not even a week with a pothole. But a pothole can happen in Havana, stands at the last rainy season. Up to now, they're still visible, isn't it? There must be option for the poor. So at least they can immigrate from that, because the moment that you are even trying to get out of that poverty, municipality is pushing you there. And that's the problem. And that's why most people prefer the way they are, because at least some of us, we are just here because we know when I turn 60 or 55, it's time to call home. And the home is where? In the north. And the north, there's nothing much you can do like to upgrade your life when you are in that stage. Unless you're starting growing farming, but the farming is too late. We start farming when you are having energy. Where you say maybe if we cannot say remove the red light, but at least there must be an option for these people who are living there, so can they not be attracted to come to the city. At least if I'm able to sell my cattle for 20,000, which I'm able, if even I have a car which is having a fault problem, maybe to buy engine, then I can sell my 2 or 3 cattle to fix it on my engine. But now I need to wait Flansky to get married, so I can sell my cattle. You see that? That's the problem. There must be option for us. Anyway, that's only what I want to contribute, Mr. Friend.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
All right, guys. So, people, please. Apparently, you guys only call when you are broke. So now I know. Because sometimes you hear the anger in the voice about the government. I always wonder, this is anger genuine? Or it just... so this is what happens. When the people are broke, they've spent, their bob card is in the minus. Their account is in the minus. Now they call and say, the government must not play with us. Hey. Yeah? If the government is playing with us, I said, now I know where the anger is coming from. Please don't get too excited. Spend your money wisely. Teachers, you got paid yesterday. Please spend your money wisely. I'm coming after you. I want an e-wallet. No excuse. So, I'm coming after you. I want an e-wallet now. No excuse. Please, keep yourself safe. Let's see each other on Monday. Stay tuned for the rest of the programs. From me, it's a goodbye. My head is pounding. I have a terrible headache. But I decided I'm going to confront it head on by talking too much today. So, but until Monday, we should have a good time.